Well, for this edition of GBN America, I'm very pleased to be joined by somebody who's a good friend of mine. She's a best-selling New York Times selling author. She's got the Candace Owens Show on the Daily Wire. Yeah, it's the one and only Candace Owens joins me. Candace, welcome to GBN America.
What a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Not at all. Now, between our two countries over the centuries, we've exported many things to you, and you've exported many things to us. Woo! And I always think when it comes to trends and food and all the things we do, America generally does things first and we do things second. But a recent export from the United Kingdom to America is a young couple.
Okay.
They were part of the royal family. They were their royal highnesses. They're now just the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And we've exported them, Candace, to you. And they're living happily on the west coast of America. And it would seem that after the quite shock cancer diagnosis of the king, that Harry only spent 24 hours in the country, a half-hour meeting.
Stop it.
With his dad, no reconciliation with his brother, and he's coming back to you in America. Are you pleased to see him return?
We are not pleased to see him return. We certainly were not pleased to see him here at all. I was very content with them being put in Canada, but I obviously knew that they would end up in LA because that was Meghan's dream. Her dream was to be an A-lister, and she was unable to make it to those A-list parties.
Wait for it.
The basis of her own merit as an actress. You know, she wasn't a very good actress. And so she figured out how to maneuver that by marrying a prince who, the only way to say it is he's just not as intelligent as her. He's not reading the situation as clearly as other people are reading it. And he has been subjected to her manipulation. And I do also want to say this because it's really important of why their story became so big. And
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
You know, her using the Black Lives Matter movement, which was very big at that time before people started to understood that really what they were advocating for were Marxist principles. It's why she became the princess of BLM, because, you know, what's one of the biggest principles of Marxism?
Stop it.
The breakdown of family. Black Lives Matter on their charter stated that they wanted to deconstruct the nuclear family. Well, Meghan Markle wanted to deconstruct a family, right? And she was going to pretend that it was for something noble, racism. It wasn't so. It was really because she wanted fame and she wanted wealth. And, you know, I don't want to say that Prince Harry was an unwitting participant. I think he obviously is not as smart as her, but also he liked the fame and he liked the attention in a certain way as well. And we had a very, very, very sad circumstance that played out here. So I'm not entirely shocked that he didn't spend that much time with his father. I have not been holding my breath for them to unify as a family, because some of the things that were done, you know, quite literally selling your family for profit, it's unheard of. But it's a Marxist belief that there's something more noble. There's something that the state wants you to believe in that's more noble. And in that circumstance, it's racism must be fought.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
But in reality, what's buried underneath is a state incentive to make people disloyal to the people that they should be the most loyal to. So no sympathy for Prince Harry, but a lot of sympathy for King Charles.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult for the Queen to forgive him. It's very difficult for William and Kate to forgive him, given the awful things he wrote about them in that book, Spare. I guess if he was to apologise, then forgiveness might follow. And there were certainly some in this country, Candace, hoping for reconciliation.
Stop it.
But, you know, your thesis is that basically she's using him. She's using the fact that he's a British prince, and it's all about her. Now, what I'm interested in, is it just about money? Because they appear to have been paid a lot of money, in many cases for not producing very much content. Is it just about money and fame? Or do you think, Candace Owens, that somewhere within Meghan there are political ambitions?
Very good question.
I actually don't believe that there are any political ambitions there, mostly because she's simply not well liked, right? And she's not a very good actress. I saw right through it from the very beginning when she was pretending she was going to stay in the royal family.
Ladies and gentlemen,
We got him.
I was the first commentator that said, this woman is going to make it back to Los Angeles. I just saw her coming. So she's not that shrewd. And unfortunately, right now, that sort of politicking is not finding a home in America. We don't want bad faith actors. We don't want a bunch of people that are going to opine about racism and sexism and misogyny. We want people that are being honest about the fact that we have a lot of issues in this country and we're not going to beat them by hating one another. And so she's not a perfect fit. Like I said, she caught a moment and there was very much a government incentive to cause so much division with BLM, but she's not going to run in politics. She's very happy where she is in a multi-million-dollar mansion, lunching with Oprah. That was her dream, and she got it.
No, you may be right. I mean, I must admit, I'd always thought there was a political ambition, but maybe you're right. And yet, you know, when it comes to whichever company they work with, Netflix, whoever it is, they've been paid all these large sums of money to produce little content or a load of rubbish. At what point does Los Angeles wake up and say, you know,
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
what? These guys are no good.
I think that's starting to happen now. I mean, the executive over at Spotify pretty much said that these are a bunch of lazy people with bad ideas that feel entitled to money. It's the ultimate entitlement is what you're taking a look at. And I don't know if any person listening to this program actually took the time to listen to the podcast that she produced on Spotify. I did. It was a source of great humor for me. And I played some of those tidbits on the show. It's weird. It's raspy. It's her talking about her dreams, talking about, you know, the patriarchy and feminism and just all of the buzzwords that get you invited to the right parties in LA. But there's no substance behind it. And as I said, the reason why it failed is because people want authenticity. And unfortunately, they aren't getting that from this couple anymore. So they're just going to keep being shuffled from award show to award show, given awards for basically doing absolutely nothing but acquiescing to a government narrative. It's quite pathetic. And it's sad because Harry was so well liked. You know, he was kind of like the bad boy prince. People liked him because he seemed so authentic. And now
he was loved.
He really was.
Yeah,
he was. I loved him.
He was good looking. He was good looking. He was.
Oh my God!
Was charming. He did his tours in Afghanistan. He was in the front line. He was fun. He had lots of pretty girlfriends. He'd go down to the pub. He'd do things Candace, that most young lads. Are you serious? Either do or would like to do. I think actually, and I remember asking my daughters when they were teenagers, early teenagers, what they thought of the royal family. And they both said, oh, the royal family, it's so cool.
Oh my God!
Now, I'd never thought of the royal family as cool, but Harry did make it cool, didn't he?
He did make it cool. And then all of that went away and he became very whiny and he went the way of what we call modern psychotherapy, where therapists sit across from you and tell you that every little thing that ever happened to you makes you a special victim. And no matter how horrendous you act, once you receive that status of victimhood, everyone must understand. And that was the thing for me that I thought was just so disgusting, was, utilizing Princess Diana, someone who was very well loved in America, and pretending that you were speaking for her from the grave, which is something that Meghan Markle did. This Freudian transfer of I'm now Princess Diana and I must be saved.
What is he doing?
It's sickening and manipulative. And you're going to have to forgive me. I just cannot get enough of this Harry and Meghan story. I mean, the fake car crash, just actually trying to pretend that they barely survived what his mother died from. And I shouldn't be laughing because it's so sick, but
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
But I am laughing at the cultural response to it. Everybody making fun of them left and right, just realizing that these people have an illness. And this is what happens. Victimhood, by the way, can become a mental illness. You can be so addicted to constantly being a victim that you just can't stop yourself, even when you're destroying your reputation everywhere. They've completely destroyed their reputations in the UK. They were like, we're going to run to America. It's going to be fine. And now they have already destroyed their reputation here, obviously, because New Yorkers don't like this. New Yorkers don't like the idea.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
That you come to this city for one night and you pretend that you almost died, despite the fact that Taylor Swift lives here, Justin Bieber lives here, stars that are way bigger than you live here.
Ladies and gentlemen,
We got him.
Listeners, and none of them have ever had to survive a car chase in Manhattan, mostly because it's impossible. But yeah, the response is amazing. But I'm about to get to the greatest response that has ever been written by a photo agency, plausibly ever written
Oh my God!
by a lawyer ever, when Harry and Meghan decided to demand all of the photos that were taken that night. Before we get there, let's first cut to Whoopi Goldberg and her response to this fake Diana Part 2 car crash that never was. Take a listen.
Prince Harry and Meghan were followed by paparazzi while leaving the Ziegfeld Theater. Their spokesperson called it a near-catastrophic car chase. Others said it wasn't bad.
Are you serious?
But I think people in New York know if it was possible to have car chases in New York, we'd all make it to the theater on time. But I think their spokesperson referenced something that you generally would reference in Los Angeles. That's where you have chases. That's where you can move at high speeds. Right. I think they were dealing with aggressive paparazzi.
Stop it.
Yeah. But I don't think it was where, you're watching on TV like this, watching the cars go, because, you can't, it just doesn't work in New York.
No, I mean, sometimes I'm in the city and I hear an ambulance trying to get through, and I think that person's dead.
Yeah.
That person is dead.
Because you can't get through. I mean, it's crazy.
They're exactly right. I've lived in New York, just like that. And you do think that. Actually, that's very funny from Joy Behar when you see an ambulance trying to get by and they're just bounding on the horn, and there's nowhere to go because it's just gridlock. It's always gridlock. That's why you wear tennis shoes and you walk wherever you have to go. It's senseless to use a taxi. You almost have to be somebody from out of town to use a taxi because we just don't use them. There's no point. It's going to take forever and it's going to cost you tons of money. But yes, and another great take here. Obviously, people are just having fun with this. The paparazzi chasing Harry and Meghan Smollett. And it is, of course, a photo of the
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
Sindaro brothers who helped Jussie Smollett stage his own hate crime. You really just have to wonder, how can this be fun for them? I have to wonder the conversations that they're having at home when this happens. Like, are they just both so addicted to drama that they can't simply go out and come home? Like, they can't do anything. They can't go visit his grandparents, go visit his dad, and without there having to be some tragedy. Do they always just go home and go, oh, we've been victimized? So they go to the grocery store and they get back home, they're like, oh, we've been victimized. He asked what color skin the baby was going to be. Kate's daughter threw a temper tantrum. She's 3 years old and she threw a temper tantrum over
What is he doing?
The dress. Is this actually how their brains work? Are they both this stupid and emotional? It really just fascinates me because I would just be so bored with this already. I'd be like, hey, honey, let's just go out and come home and not constantly
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Be chasing the press. At the very moment that they're saying that they hate the press, they are the ones that released the statement, essentially trying to evoke Princess Diana's death. Like, they love the press. They love the press. They love the victim attention. And they are understandably getting a backlash, but no backlash greater than what happened when their lawyer sent a legal letter to Backgrid USA. Backgrid USA essentially is a photo agency. They were the ones that sent out some paparazzi to get the shot of them, obviously. And they decided, just by themselves, Harry and Meghan, that they were owed all of the footage from the agency that was possibly shot. I don't know why they demanded this. Maybe because they're working on their next Netflix documentary installment, and whatever they were about to say, this photo agency was going to be able to debunk. Maybe that was going to be their next installment, how we almost died just like my mom. I don't know. These people are absolutely crazy. So anyways, they demanded the agency's footage of the chase.
Wait for it.
And they wrote this: we hereby demand that Backgrid immediately provide us with copies of all photos, videos, and or films taken last night by the freelance photographers.
Here it comes.
After the couple left their event and over the next several hours. I'm sorry, what?
Do people think this is how the world works? You can just hereby demand things? I hereby demand that Harry and Meghan release their Montecito mansion to me and my husband and my family. We will now be raising our kids in Montecito. I hereby demand. Well, it actually sounds like the king's authority.
Oh my God!
Right? Hereby, from the king, by order of the crown. Well, Baccarat's lawyer did not like this. They rejected the Huxtables' demand, but they really went far enough to say this in a letter. In America,
Wait for it.
as I'm sure you know, property belongs to the owner of it. Third parties cannot just demand it be given to them, as perhaps kings can do. Perhaps you should sit down with your client and advise them that his English rules of royal prerogative to demand that the citizenry hand over their property to the crown were rejected by this country long ago. We stand by our founding fathers. I laughed out loud when I saw that. I stood up and I said, I pledge allegiance to the flag. I sang, I'm proud to be an American, USA, USA. I bought tickets to a Trump rally. I mean, this is such an epic response to these children, these psychodramatic children who keep casting themselves as the victim in their own movie. Yes, there are paparazzi at the events. Yes, the paparazzi are going to try to see if you're going to an after party. Every celebrity lives here. Beyonce, Jay-Z, they have their photos taken everywhere they go. Nobody turns it into a psychodramatic thriller.
That doesn't make sense.
Quite like these two. Everyone's tired of them. Please, Harry and Meghan, go to Canada. I feel like when the UK and America don't want something, we usually agree that it should go up into Canada. And there's no reason for you guys to be there. You guys hate paparazzi. Why are you living in California? Why are you attending events in New York City? Because you don't actually hate the paparazzi. You want attention, but you want attention to be only exactly when you want it, right? You're like, when we call the paparazzi, we want them there. But if we don't want them there, then...
Wait for it.
Yeah, that's probably where they were going by. They were probably actually going to Jay-Z or Beyonce's house, and that was the only reason they didn't want the paparazzi to follow them. They are such a deplorable couple that they have actually brought this nation together. The left and the right are finally agreeing on something.